Today I would like to invite you to listen to the Dhammapada of the Buddha Shakyamuni. 176 verses from the Buddhist scriptures on the YouTube channel Thien Thai in the USA. There is no evil that cannot be done by the liar, who has transgressed the one law of truthfulness, and who is indifferent to a world beyond. The Blessed One taught this verse to awaken beings who still wander in darkness because of false speech, selfish desire, and ignorance. In ancient times, there was a monk who pretended to have attained holiness even though his heart was still filled with greed and attachment. He wished to receive offerings, robes, and praise from the people. Because of one lie, many other unwholesome actions followed behind it like shadows following the body. The Buddha saw clearly that when truth disappears from the heart, fearlessness also disappears, wisdom fades away, and suffering grows deep roots. Therefore the Enlightened One taught that lying is not a small matter. A lie can destroy trust, divide families, weaken friendships, create conflict among nations, and darken the purity of spiritual life. The Dhammapada contains 176 verses that shine like lamps in the night. Each verse is a medicine for the sickness of greed, hatred, and delusion. Each verse is a compassionate hand extended towards suffering beings who still drift upon the endless river of birth and death. Some verses speak about the danger of anger. Some verses speak about the beauty of compassion. Some verses teach mindfulness. Some verses teach wisdom. Some verses reveal the peace that arises when attachment falls away. Through many true stories connected to these sacred teachings, we see ordinary people transformed by the Dharma. Murderers became saints. The proud became humble. The sorrowful found peace. The lost discovered the path leading beyond fear. Angulimala once walked through forests carrying violence in his heart. Yet after meeting the Buddha, he laid down his weapons and awakened compassion within himself. Gautama wandered in unbearable grief after losing her child. Yet through the Buddha's wisdom, she understood the truth of impermanence and opened her heart to liberation. Padakara lost her family, her children, and her home, yet through mindful awareness, she became radiant with understanding and peace. These stories are not merely ancient tales. They are mirrors reflecting our own lives. Every human being experiences sorrow, fear, disappointment, aging, sickness, separation, and death. The Dhammapada teaches us how to walk through these realities without drowning in despair. The Buddha did not promise that worldly life would always be comfortable. He taught that all conditioned things arise and pass away. Wealth fades. Beauty changes. Praise disappears. Power vanishes. Even the body that we protect so carefully must one day return to dust. Yet within this changing world, there is a path of awakening that leads to freedom beyond suffering. This path begins with simple goodness. Speak truthfully. Act kindly. Guard the mind. Cultivate compassion. Practice patience. Reflect deeply. Live with mindfulness. The one who conquers thousands in battle is not as noble as the one who conquers oneself. The one who controls anger is stronger than the warrior who controls armies. The one who gives rise to loving kindness brings peace not only to others, but also to oneself. Therefore the Dhammapada is not only a book of verses. It is a living river of wisdom flowing through the hearts of those who sincerely practice the Dharma. The Buddha's words are gentle, like rain falling upon dry earth. They do not force anyone. They invite us to awaken. They invite us to look deeply into our thoughts, words, and actions. When anger arises, we learn to observe it without feeding it. When desire burns within us, we learn to understand its nature instead of becoming its servant. When fear appears, we remember impermanence and return to mindful breathing. Little by little the mind becomes calm, spacious, and clear. The Dhammapada teaches that hatred never ends through hatred. Hatred ends only through love. This is an eternal law. In this world, people often believe that revenge brings justice, but revenge only continues suffering from one generation to another. A harsh word creates another harsh word. Violence gives birth to more violence. But compassion interrupts the cycle. Forgiveness opens the door to healing. Loving kindness cools the flames of resentment. Even a small act of kindness can change the destiny of another person. A smile, a patient word, a forgiving heart, or a moment of listening can bring light into someone's darkness. The Buddha also taught the importance of guarding the mind. The mind is the source of happiness and suffering. When the mind is filled with greed, the world becomes a prison. When the mind is filled with anger, the world becomes a battlefield. When the mind is filled with wisdom and compassion, the world becomes a place of peace. Therefore, mindfulness is precious. To breathe consciously is already a step toward awakening. To eat with gratitude is already a form of practice. To speak gently is already an offering to the world. The awakened life is not far away. It begins in this very moment. Many people search for happiness in wealth, fame, or pleasure, but these things are unstable like clouds drifting across the sky. The Dhammapada reminds us that true happiness comes from a peaceful heart. One who is content sleeps peacefully. One who lives honestly walks without fear. One who cultivates compassion shines quietly like the moon emerging from behind the clouds. Even in difficult circumstances, inner peace can still bloom. A lotus flower grows from muddy water, yet remains pure and beautiful. In the same way, wisdom and compassion can arise within the struggles of ordinary life. Therefore, we should not lose hope when facing suffering. Suffering itself can become a teacher guiding us toward understanding. The Buddha saw that all beings wish to be happy and free from pain. Because of ignorance, people often harm themselves and others while searching for happiness in the wrong places. The Dhammapada gently redirects the heart toward what is wholesome, noble, and liberating. When we practice generosity, the chains of selfishness loosen. When we practice patience, anger weakens. When we practice meditation, confusion settles down like muddy water becoming clear. Gradually the heart becomes lighter. Gradually wisdom grows. Gradually compassion embraces all beings without discrimination. Birds sing without asking who is rich or poor. The sun shines upon all without choosing one person over another. In the same way, the awakened heart radiates kindness universally. Dear friends on the path, life passes quickly like morning dew under sunlight. Youth fades. Health changes. Opportunities come and go. Therefore, we should not waste this precious human life in carelessness and resentment. Let us use each day to cultivate goodness, understanding, and peace. Let us bow deeply to the wisdom of the Buddha, who out of infinite compassion revealed the path beyond suffering. Let us treasure the Dhammapada like a lamp carried through darkness. When confusion appears, return to mindfulness. When anger appears, return to compassion. When despair appears, remember impermanence and breathe gently. No storm lasts forever. No sorrow remains unchanged. The Dharma teaches that liberation is possible because the mind itself can awaken. Even a person burdened by mistakes can begin again. Even a heart wounded by suffering can bloom once more. The path is always open for those willing to walk with sincerity, humility, and loving kindness. The Buddha taught that the restless mind wanders endlessly like a monkey swinging from branch to branch. One moment it clings to desire. Another moment it burns with anger. Then it falls into fear, pride, jealousy, or regret. Because of this unstable mind, beings continue circling through suffering without seeing the peaceful shore nearby. The Dhammapada reminds us again and again that the disciplined mind brings happiness. The uncontrolled mind brings sorrow. Therefore, spiritual practice is not meant to escape life. Practice helps us understand life clearly. When rain falls upon a mountain, water flows in many directions. In the same way, an untrained mind flows toward countless distractions. But when mindfulness is cultivated, the mind becomes steady like a deep lake untouched by strong winds. In such stillness, wisdom appears naturally. A person who truly practices the Dharma does not become cold or distant from the world. Instead, the heart becomes softer, kinder, and more understanding. The Buddha walked among kings, beggars, farmers, grieving mothers, and wandering seekers with equal compassion. He never looked down upon anyone because he saw that all beings possess the potential for awakening. This understanding destroys arrogance. Many people believe spiritual practice is only for temples or monasteries, but the Dhammapada teaches that every moment of life can become practice. While washing dishes, one can cultivate mindfulness. While speaking to family members, one can cultivate loving speech. While facing difficulty at work, one can cultivate patience. When walking, one can walk peacefully. When breathing, one can breathe consciously. Little by little, the ordinary moments of life become sacred. The awakened path is not hidden somewhere far away. It unfolds within daily living. A person who guards speech carefully already protects much peace in the world. Harsh words wound the heart more deeply than weapons. Gossip destroys trust. Angry speech spreads suffering from one person to another. Therefore, the Buddha encouraged speech that is truthful, gentle, timely, and beneficial. Before speaking, we should ask whether our words bring healing or harm. Sometimes silence is wiser than many unnecessary words. A calm silence filled with compassion can comfort another person more deeply than long explanations. The Dhammapada also teaches about the danger of attachment. Human beings cling tightly to possessions, relationships, opinions, and identities, believing these things will provide lasting security. Yet everything changes according to causes and conditions. When change arrives, suffering appears because the heart resists impermanence. The Buddha did not teach indifference. He taught non-attachment. To love without clinging is freedom. To care without possessing is wisdom. To appreciate each moment without demanding permanence is peace. Imagine holding sand tightly in the hand. The harder one grasps, the faster the sand slips away. But when the hand remains open, the sand rests naturally. In the same way, relationships flourish through understanding and kindness rather than control and attachment. Many people spend years chasing wealth believing that satisfaction lies in gaining more. Yet desire is like drinking salty water. The more one drinks, the greater the thirst becomes. Contentment is one of the greatest treasures taught in the Dharma. A content person may possess little, yet feel rich in gratitude. Another person may possess much yet remain consumed by dissatisfaction. Therefore, true wealth does not depend upon possessions. True wealth arises from inner peace, generosity, and wisdom. The Dhammapada praises generosity because giving weakens selfishness and opens the heart. Even a small offering made sincerely carries great merit. A bowl of food given to the hungry, a comforting word given to the lonely, or a moment of patience offered to someone in pain can become seeds of immense goodness. The Buddha taught that kindness should not depend upon whether another person deserves it. Compassion flows naturally from an awakened heart, just as fragrance naturally arises from a flower. The practice of meditation was also praised throughout the teachings. Meditation is not merely sitting with closed eyes. Meditation is learning to see clearly. When we sit quietly and observe the breath, we begin to recognize the changing nature of thoughts and emotions. Anger comes and goes. Fear comes and goes. Desire comes and goes. Nothing remains fixed. Through this direct understanding, attachment slowly loosens. The practitioner discovers a peaceful space beneath the turbulence of the mind. In that peace there is freedom. The Buddha compared the untrained mind to a fish thrown upon dry land, constantly struggling and restless. Through meditation, the mind gradually returns to still water. Wisdom grows not through force, but through gentle awareness. Many people fear being alone because silence reveals the movements of the heart. Yet silence can become a precious teacher. In silence we begin to hear the truth hidden beneath endless distraction. We realize how often we blame others for suffering created by our own attachment and ignorance. We realize how precious each breath truly is. We realize that life is fragile and temporary. Instead of causing despair, this understanding brings gratitude. A person who understands impermanence treasures the present moment deeply. The smile of a loved one becomes precious. The sound of rain becomes precious. Even an ordinary meal becomes precious. Awakening is not separate from life. Awakening means seeing life clearly with wisdom and compassion. The Dhammapada teaches that the fragrance of virtue travels farther than the fragrance of flowers. A beautiful appearance fades with time, but noble conduct continues shining in the hearts of others. Therefore, we should cultivate honesty, humility, patience, and compassion. A peaceful person becomes a refuge for many beings. In troubled times, the world desperately needs hearts rooted in understanding rather than hatred. Each person who practices mindfulness contributes to collective peace. Just as one candle can light many other candles without losing its flame, one compassionate heart can inspire countless others. The Buddha never forced anyone to believe blindly. He encouraged direct experience and careful reflection. Practice sincerely and observe the results. When greed decreases, suffering decreases. When compassion increases, peace increases. The Dharma is simple yet profound. Water naturally flows downward. Fire naturally burns. In the same way, actions shaped by wisdom naturally lead toward peace, while actions shaped by ignorance naturally lead toward suffering. Karma is not punishment. Karma is the unfolding of causes and conditions. Therefore, each moment offers a new opportunity to plant wholesome seeds. If we plant seeds of anger, bitterness will grow. If we plant seeds of kindness, peace will blossom. The future is shaped by the intentions cultivated today. Even if one has made mistakes in the past, transformation remains possible. The Buddha welcomed people from every background because he saw that awakening does not belong to one class, nation, or condition. The door of the Dharma remains open to all who sincerely seek understanding. Therefore, let us practice diligently yet gently. Let us walk this path with patience rather than harshness. Spiritual growth resembles the opening of a lotus flower. It happens gradually through nourishment, mindfulness, and compassionate effort. Day by day, the heart becomes lighter. Day by day, wisdom becomes clearer. Day by day, suffering loses its power. Eventually, one discovers a peace untouched by praise or blame, gain or loss, pleasure or pain. This peace is the fragrance of liberation taught throughout the sacred verses of the Dhammapada. Thank you for watching my video. Namo Amitba. I wish to bring this merit towards all disciples and sentient beings, all of whom will attain Buddhahood. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate your time.